But here's some things that we put together over the last few months that I think are really cool and are worthwhile considering. So this first one is an automation. I am sharing screenshots. Yes, there's sensitive client data all over the place. But this is an A/B testing, price testing automation, and there's 3 tables for this setup. One is tests, one is variants, and the other one is the actual projects themselves, where the bids are being sent out. And so we're A/B testing the price per page. And the reason we're doing that is because the business owner realized that if we increase prices, we may lose, we make more profit per project that we win, but we may also lose money in the long term. So doing like an automated A/B test is something that people often think is like necessary, or you have to get some kind of off-the-shelf tool that's a marketing tool or something, some really expensive fancy thing. But we actually put this together in Airtable, which I thought was pretty cool. So there is that. The next thing is you can actually create dynamic interfaces in Airtable. So you can have a bunch of tasks assigned to one person or projects assigned to one designer or one copywriter, and actually change what's shown to a user depending on the user that's logged in. So it actually does allow you to dynamically change the interface, and so this is the setup for that. Right? So the next thing is actually task-specific dashboards. So you might be used to using a tool like ClickUp or Trello, where you see like a little box that's this big, and you don't really see a lot of information. In Airtable, we can actually create, or anybody can create, a dashboard for a designer or copywriter where they can see all the information that they need for the current thing. And so there's some cool features that we tend to use. One of them is linking to Google Docs files or folders. The other one is showing the time and the current status, and this is great for the individual team member so that they're taking care of things that are stale otherwise. And then showing some emojis that are all formula-based so that people know whether something is on track or held or has some kind of issue with it. So that's a really cool thing that you can put together and that we really like to do as well, find really useful. Another one is using emojis for statuses for things. So this feature message, this is a formula field. And so what we do is we show a little emoji next to, we break our features up into sprints. And so we show like emojis and things, sharing like a very, very basic like green, yellow, red traffic light system is really handy for quickly seeing if you're the manager or you're tracking like lots of things, quickly seeing which things are okay, not okay. In this case, it's a sprint that's overloaded with features, and so we're at the risk of our developers getting overloaded, but you can kind of think about how could you use like very quick colors or shapes to indicate where attention needs to go. So this could be students that are behind would get a red emoji, and students that are on track would get a green emoji. It could be clients where their cold email campaign is not performing, and they get a little red emoji automatically, and clients where their campaigns are performing really well would get a green emoji, or maybe even 2 green or 3 green emojis. So there's some cool things operationally and systems-wise that you can do to in your Airtable build, or you can have us build it for you. Okay. The other one is we call this like a production pipeline graph. So this is a graph of the total amount of time spent in each step, and you can use that. Of course, that would be customized per system. You can use that to very quickly see where are the bottlenecks in the system, right? And is this bottleneck worth actually investing time in? So we would look at, obviously, or anybody looking at the graph could look at the total height of the graph compared to other things, but also the actual absolute number of hours. And the reason both of those things are important, obviously the highest one is the bottleneck in the system, but you also need to consider how high volume is the system as a whole, right? So if you have a bunch of landing pages you produce and a bunch of videos you produce, like VSLs to go on that landing page, you might do way more VSLs than landing pages. And so just because there's a bottleneck in the landing page process doesn't mean that part is actually worthwhile tackling, because it might be that the total number of hours, for example, in your VSL process is a lot higher. So we think about that, and then you could display that information in a bar graph or a pie chart as well. So really cool application for Airtable in terms of process optimization for a business. The other one is showing, from a manager level perspective, showing which projects or which which processes are not like late yet, but moving slower than they really should be. So this is an example. Obviously, we don't work with Ryan Reynolds here, but once we're like, you can use Airtable to track all sorts of things. What we typically do is map out a process and say, okay, we need to track every single step of that process. And then for every step, we need to know what's the error time and what's the warning time. So if this step is supposed to take no more than 24 hours and it's currently at 26 hours, it's a warning. But maybe if it goes to 48, it's like an error. And so from a manager level perspective, if you have one manager or one operations person that's managing a lot of different tasks, this can be a really quick way to visualize things. And we would use a formula for this. Like, formulas in Airtable are fantastic. And so we like to use them for quick summaries of statuses. So in this case, yellow means over the warning time and red means over the error time. And you can calculate this, do things like the error score, for example, and rank the error score that's the worst at the top. And then, of course, this also down here, you can see the different steps, who actually changed a step, and the start time for every step. So you can think about Airtable as a tool to map a process and allow your team to manage things easier, but also get a very high-level view as a manager and see if there's anything that needs action or attention right now. The other one we've done, and this is a really cool idea we just came up with like 2 weeks ago, is automatically generating the agenda for a client meeting. So if you have account managers, you can automatically look at let's say it's a marketing company, you can look at the performance of their videos, the performance of their campaigns, and show one kind of message based on if their performance is going well, and another kind of message if it's not going well, and auto-generate talking points for your team. Now, this is not a huge deal if you're the business owner and you're stuck doing all the client calls, but number one, you're eventually going to have multiple account managers, and you want to make sure that they're addressing all the things in every call that they need to. And so what we do, we have a couple different people that do client calls. We auto-generate this message and then copy it into a text box so they can actually modify things as well and add like the human touch to it. So this is something you can think about, auto-generating meeting notes, which is, really cool. The other one is having like a very high-level dashboard. So we think about this like kind of like an email inbox. You might have an operations person that's managing this, and you want to get all the issues down to 0 every single day. You might be doing this yourself, but one of the things that is often a problem with higher volume companies is there's just like so many different places you could have your attention. And so what we like to do is summarize everything up into like a critical and a kind of warning issues dashboard. So it's a lot easier for people to know, like, where does my attention need to go to right now? So something like this, really, really handy. The other one is, once you have that production pipeline graph, what you'd want to do is look at one specific step and track that one specific step over time to make sure it's improving. So depending on your process, you might have something where you notice an improvement every single week, every month, every quarter, but that would be an important thing as well. And so there's lots of different capabilities for Airtable graphs that a lot of people just don't even realize. The other one is, this is a formula ranking team members in terms of how likely is it that they have free capacity, and we can also do things like how good are they at quality, how good are they at submitting things on time, etc. People have used, like, you can use ranking formulas to distribute leads to different salespeople. You can show like who is the best CSM or who's the best editor or writer on my team. We use this specific formula. We're using this to automatically distribute, or it's part of a system that automatically distributes projects to freelance writers. And actually, this is 30% more accurate than a human being, and it's instant. So a lot of people would think that there's a lot of these functions that are subjective decision-making things that a human has to be involved in. Another cool thing about Airtable is you can do math equations that represent a decision-making process or a judgment call, and actually automate that as well. And it may actually be more accurate than a person. Another one too is this is a really simple one. This is not worth discussing. Okay, so this one is an automatic quality assurance system. So There's a list of issues, a list of what's called a regular expression, which is a text pattern that can be used to detect whether something is true or not true in a block of text or extract information from a block of text. We're using this to automatically quality assure written content at scale. So there's a human proofreader as well, but we're doing this to kind of catch the kind of mistakes that a human might have missed. And so if you have a lot of written content for social posts, maybe you do newsletters, maybe you're doing any kind of copy, SEO articles as well. We use regex for SEO. Doing quality assurance at scale is often way more possible than you think, especially with some mistakes. Third one thing, I talked about how much I love Airtable formulas. Airtable formulas can be used for extracting like kind of summary information and rolling it up to the kind of the main entity. So in this case, this is a formula for a UGC agency. They do rounds, and then every single round has like 10 or 20 or 30 concepts. And so they want to see very quickly, like, where is this round at? What's the status of the round? And of course, it's possible that one of the concepts would be completely edited and all the way through, and some of them would still be looking for a creator. And so using formulas is really powerful to roll things up to the kind of main level, so it's faster for you as a manager to actually see what the status of things is without hunting around and things like that. So I think, hold up. Okay, so here's a couple things. I guess I preemptively ended this. So here's a screenshot of the most productive team members. So one of the things a lot of our higher volume clients want to see is, like, are all my team members pulling their weight, right? And so this might be the number of, in this case, number of updates to Airtable in a specific day to make sure that everyone's like doing things. It could be a line graph of the number of projects completed per week or per day by different team members, so everybody can see the daily average, the weekly average, the monthly average, and maybe even the quarterly average. But you probably have KPIs for your team, and you can use Airtable to actually track if that KPI is being met.